You're sitting at a red light. Nobody's coming. No cars, no pedestrians, nothing. Just you staring at a piece of colored glass, waiting for permission to move. We do this so automatically we never ask the obvious question. How did anyone manage to drive or ride or walk through a city before this thing existed? Because here's the part that should bother you. Cities have been packed, chaotic, and full of moving traffic for over 2,000 years. Rome had more daily vehicle traffic in some centuries than a mid-sized American city today. And the traffic light? It's barely 100 years old. So for 2,000 years, somehow, humanity avoided total gridlock without a single red or green bulb. How? Here's the fact that started this whole video. In 45 BCE, Julius Caesar passed a law that banned wheeled carts from entering the city of Rome during daylight hours. Not slow down. Not yield. Banned. If you were a merchant hauling grain into the city, you had to wait until sundown every single night. Thousands of carts flooded into Rome at once, all at the same time, through the same gates. Rome didn't solve traffic. Rome just moved traffic into the dark. So here are the two questions this video is actually built around. 1. If there was no shared visual signal, no light, no universal symbol everyone agreed on, how did total strangers, on foot, on horseback, driving carts, in a language they might not even share, avoid crashing into each other every single day? 2. What finally convinced an entire civilization to hand that decision over to a machine? To trust a piece of colored glass over a human being standing in the street? This isn't really a video about traffic. It's a video about how civilization learns to trust invisible rules instead of brute force. Every solution you're about to hear, a law, a stone, a whistle, a badge. A light is really the same experiment repeated for 2,000 years. Can strangers who will never meet agree, silently, to not kill each other? That question didn't end with the traffic light. It's still the question. You answer it every time you stop at a red light with no cop, no camera, and no one watching. A Roman law so strict it turned entire nights into deafening chaos. A city buried in volcanic ash, still showing us its ancient crosswalks. A signal in London that exploded and injured the man guarding it. A police officer standing on a pedestal, spinning like a human weather vane. A black inventor solving a flaw the entire industry had ignored for years. And a stubborn accountant who never learned to drive, yet designed the roads you drive on today. All of it building to one glowing red light. Let's go back to the beginning. Caesar's daylight cart ban sounds like a clean fix. It wasn't. The Roman poet Juvenal later complained that the nighttime cart traffic was so loud, wooden wheels grinding over stone, drivers shouting, oxen bellowing that wealthy Romans couldn't sleep unless they paid enormous sums for houses far from the main roads. Caesar didn't eliminate the traffic problem. He just made it someone else's problem. After dark, where it was harder to see and easier to ignore. But that only solved half the problem. Because banning carts in daylight didn't tell foot traffic what to do at all. So what happened when you actually needed to cross a busy Roman street on foot? Walk through the ruins of Pompeii today and you'll find something strange. Large raised stepping stones set directly into the middle of the street, spaced just far enough apart for a person to step between them. They weren't just crosswalks. The gaps between those stones were precisely measured to match the standard axle width of Roman cartwheels. That spacing wasn't guesswork, it was traffic engineering. Carts could roll straight through the gaps without stopping, while pedestrians crossed dry, above the filthy, flooded street, without ever touching a wheel. It's one of the earliest known examples of a city physically designing infrastructure to separate two kinds of traffic instead of just writing a law and hoping people obeyed it. For 1,000 years after Rome fell, cities didn't improve on this. They shrank, streets narrowed, and traffic control quietly became a matter of instinct and custom, not design. In crowded medieval cities, there was no traffic law in the modern sense. Instead, there were unwritten social rules. Riders were expected to keep to a particular side of the road, so their sword arm faced oncoming strangers, a habit born from self-defense, not convenience. But customs only work when everyone shares them. And by the 1700s, cities like London had grown too large too fast, too crowded with strangers from too many places for an unwritten rule to hold the whole system together anymore. Something had to be written down, enforced, made official. A railway engineer named John Peake Knight had an idea borrowed directly from the trains he worked with. If signals could stop a train, why not a carriage? He built a tall, gas-lit signal near the Houses of Parliament arms that moved to say stop, and colored gas lamps for nighttime. Red for stop, green for caution. It was the world's first traffic signal, installed at one of the busiest, most dangerous intersections in London. It exploded. Weeks after installation, a gas leak inside the signal caused it to blow up, badly injuring the police officer operating it. The idea of an automated signal was so shaken by that single accident that London wouldn't seriously try again for decades. One exploding lamp set back the entire concept of mechanical traffic control by almost 50 years. In the meantime, the job went back to a human being standing in the middle of the street, betting his own body against every carriage in the city for the next several decades. In cities from London to New York to Paris, traffic control meant one thing: a police officer standing at an intersection, using hand signals, whistles, and sheer physical presence to hold back traffic with his body. It was called point duty, and it was genuinely dangerous work. Officers were routinely struck by carriages, later by early automobiles. The system depended entirely on the strength, visibility, and split-second judgment of one exhausted man in the middle of the street, every single day, in every kind of weather. Cities were growing faster than any one officer could physically manage. Something had to scale a system that didn't depend on the endurance of a single human body. William Phelps Eno never held a driver's license. He didn't need to. What he understood was psychology, not engines. Eno wrote what's considered the first formal traffic code for New York City in 1903. Rules for one-way streets, stop signs, pedestrian right-of-way, and the traffic circle, which he helped design for Columbus Circle. He believed the real problem wasn't the vehicles. It was the absence of a greed. Rules strangers could instantly understand without a person standing there to enforce them. The man historians call the father of traffic safety reportedly never drove a car in his entire life. He designed the system from the outside as a pure problem of human coordination, which turned out to be exactly the right way to see it. Rules were finally written, but rules on paper still needed something visible, in real time, to tell people when to obey them. An inventor named James Hogue patented a system of electrically powered red and green lights installed at a Cleveland intersection in 1914, controlled by a police officer flipping a switch from a booth. It was the first electric traffic signal in American history. It had no yellow light. There was no warning phase at all. Signals switched instantly from stop to go, which caused its own wave of confusion and near collisions. The idea was right. The execution still needed a missing piece. A Detroit police officer named William Potts took Hogue's concept and added the piece it was missing: a third light, amber, a warning phase between stop and go, giving drivers a moment to react instead of slamming on the brakes. Built out of leftover railroad signal parts, Potts's four-way, three-color light went up at the corner of Woodward and Michigan Avenue and the modern traffic light, essentially unchanged in concept for over 100 years, was born. Even Potts's system had a flaw. That instant switch from stop to go was still catching drivers off guard, causing accidents. Garrett Morgan, a black inventor and businessman who had already invented a life-saving gas mask, witnessed a serious crash at an intersection and set out to fix it. In 1923, he patented an improved traffic signal with an all-direction stop position, a buffer where every driver stopped completely before the next direction was given the go-ahead. Morgan later sold the rights to his patent to General Electric for $40,000, a fortune at the time because he understood something bigger than his own invention. The idea only saved lives if it spread everywhere, fast. He traded ownership for adoption. Caesar didn't end traffic. He just gave it a curfew. Rome carved its rules into stone because it couldn't yet carve them into light. One exploding gas lamp bought human traffic cops 50 more years on the job. Eno never drove a car, he just understood the people who did. Every red light you've ever obeyed is the final draft of 2,000 years of trial and error. So the next time you're sitting at a red light, at 2 a.m. with nobody else on the road, and you still stop, think about what's actually happening. You're not stopping because of the light. The light is just glass and electricity. You're stopping because of an agreement, invisible, unspoken, inherited from a Roman engineer's stepping stones, a London signal that exploded, an accountant who never drove, and an inventor who gave away his own patent, so the idea could spread faster than he could sell it himself. That red light isn't controlling you. It's 2,000 years of strangers agreeing silently to trust each other just enough to share the road. And for one more day, in cities all over the world, it's still working.